So as you guys know, United beat Lyon 5-4 in the Europa League the other day, last week. Sorry, won on aggregate 7-6. A very back and forward game. If anything, I feel like Lyon played better. We played better than Lyon when it was 11v11. Then as soon as Lyon got one person sent off, they played better. They were really, really in control, I feel like, of that game, which is kind of embarrassing for us. But I do like the spirit and the fight from all the players. I feel like these type of games, when a lot is on the line, I remember reading on social where they said something along the lines of like, this game would cost United $80 million or something, £80 million upwards in terms of earnings. So I'm sure the players were made aware of it. There was also a story that came in that said Ruben Amorim had been shouting and screaming at the players in the changing room, and he'd cancelled some outing with the players, and essentially he read them the riot act and said, hey, if you guys don't win this game, or no, I think the quote was, or loosely attributed to Ruben Amorim, was that there was so much riding on this game that whoever failed would lose, like would be out of a job. That includes the manager. So I feel like in these type of games when these fucking shit cunt players feel like their jobs are on the line, because, you know, they're terrible for the most part. We're not 14th, 15th for no excuse, but or for no reason. I feel like these players enjoy playing for Man United. They love the allure, they love the fucking recognition and the clout that comes from playing for United, and they don't want to lose it. And I think these players also know, the ones that are on high wages, they know that if they leave United, they're not going to get the wages that they got at United. United is a place where people come to, like, you know, cash out essentially. Look at Casemiro. He's not going to get the wages he's getting at United anywhere else in the world, which is why he's willing to kind of stay and run his contract down. So I think a lot of these players, when it's really kind of like, you know, squeaky bum time, they usually pull out a big performance. And I feel like this particular match had less to do with Ruben Amorim's tactics and selection, and multiple of the players just like knuckling down and making sure they got over the line. So really good goals in that performance. I thought flipping Kobe Mino's goal obviously was a standout. I enjoyed Harry Maguire's winner at the end as well. Big slabhead. I always felt like Harry Maguire doesn't score enough headers personally for me. I feel like he's not dangerous enough when it comes to set pieces in general, because he's a really big dude. I think he might be 6'5", 6'4", 220 plus pounds, absolutely ripped, massive head. You can tell even from watching him on TV. He's got a huge dome. Loves to get his head on the end of things defensively. But I feel like offensively, he doesn't score enough headers. So it's good to see him get the winner. Happy about that. And also the tactic of like playing him up front towards the end was also kind of paying dividends. So glad to see that. So United went through to the semi-finals of the Europa League. There's a lot riding on this season on that Europa League finish. I'm personally of the thinking that United can't rescue their season with a Europa League finish. That's my personal theory. I believe this season has been so bad, from the manager to the players to the owners. Everyone is graded a big fat F, that you can't save this season with a trophy. I don't believe that. I'm not one of those United fans that think if we win a trophy, everything gets forgotten is okay. It doesn't matter if we win the Europa League 10-0 in the finals. It doesn't erase how much of a failure this season was. It starts from Ineos taking over the sporting side of the team. From Ineos taking over the sporting side of the club, to giving fucking Erik ten Hag an extended contract, a contract renewal, which should never have happened. He should have got fired or sent away after the FA Cup final against Man City. We should have gave him a handshake and said, thank you so much, and fuck off. We didn't do that. We paid the price. We gave him more transfer funds. He bought more shit players who we're now stuck with for basically forever. And then we sack him, a quarter way into the season. We hire Ruben Amorim to, I think, save the season, right? I don't think you pay 9 million euros to get a manager out of his contract at Sporting Lisbon to sign for United, not knowing or not thinking that you're going to save the season. We sign him, a manager, get him out of his contract halfway through the season, and then we don't buy him players that he needs to play the system that he needs to play. He then fails because he doesn't have the players, and maybe he's getting adjusted to the league, and maybe he's a little bit underwhelming, or maybe not the level that we thought he was. Who knows? And now there's fans out here who want the manager gone, who want us to start the whole process all over again. So in my personal opinion, it's been a big fat F. So I don't care what happens in Europa League. I don't give a fuck what happens in Europa League. I don't care if we win the final 10-0, 20-0. This season's been a failure, and they need to really go back to the drawing board and fix a lot of things when it comes to signing players, when it comes to getting rid of players, which I think is way more important than signing them. I think the likes of, like, if we see Luke Shaw contract get terminated, I think I'm going to be way more optimistic for the season. I was already nervous and dubious when Harry Maguire got given a contract extension a few months back, right? I didn't like that at all. I didn't like that. I think we need to move on from that whole era. But whatever, you want him as cover, cool, experience, whatever it may be. But if Luke Shaw still stays at this club next season, and the likes of Mason Mount, I think that's going to make me really nervous for the next season. And it's all about guarantees that Ruben Amorim gets fired or walks next season too. So, Europa League, great performance. Happy that we're in the semi-finals. One step closer to the final. One step closer to maybe winning a trophy. But that is not going to save the season. It does not save the season. It does not eradicate the losses. I think 15 losses, the record amount of losses United in the season ever. It doesn't raise it. It doesn't make that okay. And no amount of trophies will ever do so. And if you are thinking that, then you're delusional. That's just my personal opinion. But what do I know? Recently against Wolves on Sunday, we followed up a really decent performance in Europa League with an abject performance against Wolves at home. Personally, I kind of feel this is kind of on the manager. I'm not going to lie. I kind of feel this performance on the manager because I quite liked the lineup before. When we started the game, I liked the lineup. I liked the inclusion of Friedrichsen and Harry Amas in the back. I thought they did a great job, especially Friedrichsen. I think he really performed out of his skin. Essentially, he kind of helped Lindelof look a lot better than what he does because he came and was sweeping in, coming into the middle and kind of picking up or covering Lindelof whenever he'd leave gaps and shit. I thought the midfield of Eriksen and Ugarte worked pretty decently. And in general, there was a decent balance of the team. Garnacho was doing his greedy shit that he always does. Højlund didn't really do much in general, or for me personally. But I thought we did okay. But the moment Ruben Amorim decided to make the subs and play the senior players, like the likes of Bruno Fernandes and co, suddenly we lost the game. So I feel like this game could have been saved. We could have come away with 1 point, a draw, if you just would have kept the team the same. I don't think there was any need to sub those players on. I think because he rotated the team to give the senior players a rest. I don't think we needed to play the senior players. We're not going to really move significantly up the table anyway. We're safe from getting relegated. I don't see the need or the point to have made all those changes and then reverse them towards the end to try to win the game. It didn't make any sense personally for me. It is what it is. The only good thing to come out of it was all the fawning over from our players and from our manager on Cunha. It's pretty clear that we're going to sign Cunha. I think there's been stories already leaked about us signing him. He's going to be a great player to us to sign in terms of that one of the number 10s, or maybe to play up front in certain times as well. I'm a little bit nervous about it because I feel like United have a tendency to sign good players and make them look shit. So it wouldn't surprise me if we sign Cunha, who's been pulling up trees and playing fantastically for Wolves consistently for a while. It wouldn't surprise me if we sign him and we make Cunha look like Joe Linton when he first went to Newcastle. It wouldn't surprise me because I feel like United is where good players go to die. So Cunha looks like a good player for Wolves. When it comes to United and he stinks up the place, I won't be surprised. But I'm happy to see that we're going for that type of player who's got a little bit of tenacity, a little bit of aggression, got a bit of a personality, obviously tons of ability, can play in a lot of positions. And I'm eager to see how that goes on throughout the period. And again, it was obvious that we're going to sign him because Ruben Amorim, every time he saw him, was making some sort of comment, touching his head. Some players were talking to him. I don't know. It looked bait. It looked bait that we're going to sign him. So let's see what happens. Let's see what happens with that. But all in all, a pretty shitty end towards the end of the season. And the Europa League is the only thing that's going to save it. But it still doesn't save it, in my personal opinion.